welcome everybody to the Festival of the Girl, and I'm delighted to introduce Stacey Copeland, who is an English professional boxer and also a former football player. And she has the Commonwealth Female Super-Welterweight title, which she's held since 2018. Now, I'm not going to tell you much more about her because we have some youngsters ready to ask her some questions. So I'll let you just say a very quick hello, Stacey, before I hand over to the questions from the girls who've got on with us.
Okay, well, first, thank you for having me. And I don't know what the questions are because I like to just answer them honestly. So I'm sure you'll put me on the spot. But I have to say, it takes a lot to kind of step up and ask questions like this and be on camera. So I'm really proud of you all for thinking of your own questions and being on here and asking them. I think it's really, really cool that you've shown the courage to do it, and that's great. So I'm looking forward to it, and ask away.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stacey. So Isla, you are first up.
When did you start boxing, and what did you do before you became a boxer?
Good question, Isla. Well, I didn't do a lot before because I was about 6 or 7 when I first went in the gym. So I probably just ran around in my nappy and stuff like that. Probably I was pretty small when I started boxing, and that's because my granddad ran my gym, and my dad was a boxer too. So they got me into it quite young. So I was about 6 or 7 when I started going to the gym, and football was about the same. I was round about 7 when I started playing football, and that started mostly at school, really, in the playground. I was the only girl in the boxing gym and in the playground playing football, but I just loved both sports, so I was quite young when I started playing them.
Brilliant. Great question. Eva, you are next.
How difficult is boxing and training?
Boxing is very, very difficult. The training's difficult even if you don't compete. So lots and lots of people do boxing just for fitness. So they never ever actually fight or compete. So every week I do a session for a group of women. We have a couple of men that come, but it's mostly a women's fitness boxing group, and they just do boxing for fitness, and they absolutely love it. And it is really, really good for fitness. So even if you don't do the competing bit, it's still really tough. But if you do it for competing, it's a very, very tough sport. One, because you have to be very fit. So physically, it's very demanding, very tiring. Mentally, it's tough because there's a lot to think about. So when you're in the boxing ring, you've got to think about your footwork. You've got to think about trying to score a point against your opponent, but not letting them score a point against you. And then emotionally, it can be tough as well because your brain tells you don't do this because obviously, you know, there's a fear of losing. There's a fear of perhaps getting hurt or being humiliated, just like there is with, you know, doing anything that's a performance, whether that's on stage or singing, same thing. There's a fear and it's taking you out of your comfort zone. So I think it's a tough test of everything. So you have to be quite committed. You have to overcome your fears, and you have to be dedicated to be your best, as is the case with being the best at anything. So I think it's very, very tough, but those of us who love it, and it is a strange sport, I have to say, but those of us who love it are dedicated to it, and we like that challenge of it. That's part of the appeal.
Lovely. Well, I think there's a follow-up question coming up about that. And there is a linked one here, which is Belle's question. So over to you, Belle.
Hi, Belle.
Hi. How does it feel to be hit?
It hurts. That's the best way I can put it. Funnily enough, some of the most painful shots are actually body shots that get like around your ribs, or the ones that wind you. So I don't know if any of you ever been winded, if you've been like on a trampoline or a bouncy castle. Imi's nodding her head, so it looks like she has. But or maybe you've played, you know, sports with a ball involved and it hits you like right here in the middle, and it winds you. It's horrible. So that can happen. But have you heard of something called adrenaline? Yeah, no? Okay. Well, adrenaline is something you learn about at high school, and that's something that's released in your body when you're at like a heightened time. So if you're frightened, so let's say, I don't know, like a stray dog jumps out on the street and you're like, and you have to run really fast, your body gives you loads of adrenaline, which is like extra energy to get away from danger. In sport, or if we're going to do like when people go on X Factor, or they are doing a musical performance, or Britain's Got Talent, or sport, and your body and your mind know, oh, we've got a big performance here, and you're nervous, a great thing that the body does, even though nerves are horrible, because you feel all those elephants in your tummy and you're like, oh, you feel all jangly, also your body gives you adrenaline, which is this amazing boost of energy to perform at your best. And that's what helps when you're in a sport. So in football, you might get a hard tackle, or in boxing, you might get a punch or whatever. The adrenaline helps your body cope with that. Ordinarily, it wouldn't. So if you were just walking around the supermarket and somebody tackled you, it would be very different to when you're in that performance mode and your adrenaline's there. So I'd say that helps, but ultimately it still hurts, but you are thinking of it as a sport. It's not really a fight as such. It's trying to get points on the other person. So it's a little bit different.
And this might be a similar answer. I'm going to hand over to Amelie for her question, which I felt you could maybe answer literally and perhaps metaphorically as well. It's quite a deep one. Go for it, Amelie.
Take yourself off mute, Amelie.
What do you... no. How can you get back up so fast when you're pushed over?
Again, I think Jen's right. Part of that is adrenaline, but it's also, I think, in the middle of a competition, if your focus is on helping your team, doing your best, winning, things like that, then your first thought is quick, get up, because you want to get the ball back, or you want to get back in the fight or whatever, because you want to win, which I guess is a good example for general life, that things do knock us down. And the way I like to think of that, I've actually got something here to show you. So this is something that I use to help remind me of this. Okay, so this is what I try and remind myself to be an egg. So if you think of like a hot pan of water, boiling hot water, it can make mashed potato or it can make a boiled egg. And sometimes when things in life make us really sad, and we're really sad because something's gone wrong. It might be something we've done, we've made a mistake. It might be something that's happening to us that we can't do anything about, but it might make us feel down. It might not be a thing. We might just wake up and feel a bit, we all have days like that. Then we can have a choice to either be a mashed potato and be all mashed up and be like, this isn't fair, why me, be horrible to other people and complaining, or we can decide, right, I'm going to get through this. And that's the choice to be a boiled egg. Now, to be a boiled egg, that does include crying. If you feel emotional, it's really healthy to do that. Asking for help if you need to, speaking to other people, but ultimately finding a way through it. So one way that I got knocked down, Amelie, was when I got injured once. Well, lots of times actually, because I've had a lot of broken bones and a lot of surgeries through all these years of sport. And you get knocked down with things like that. So I've had 12 broken bones. I've had 8 surgeries. So because I've been a bit unlucky with injuries, but they always made me feel knocked down. And I always start as a mashed potato. This isn't fair. Why me? Now I've got another surgery. And in the end, if I'm going to get back to being my best, I have to be a boiled egg. And that means asking for help, making a plan so that it's not overwhelming and I can just get better bit by bit, finding a way to get back to jogging and running and then my sport. So that's how I think of whenever I got knocked down and I'm a big mashed potato on the floor, I think, right, I'm in this boiling water that doesn't feel good and I want to get out of this pan, but you can't always get out of the pan of boiling water. Feels uncomfy, hurts, it's horrible for whatever reasons they may be, but we can all choose to be a boiled egg. So that's why I have this here to remind me that at those times when I'm being a mashed potato, to be a boiled egg, and that helps me get back up then and carry on.
What a great answer. I love that we got the boiled egg. That's superb and really memorable. Thank you. Thank you, Stacey. So, Imi, over to you for the next question.
Can you show me how to stand and throw a punch? Okay,
so what I'll do is, instead of me doing it, because I am literally in the smallest room on the planet, that's the wall and the other one's like right there. You guys all stand up.
I'm going to put this to gallery view so we can all see you.
Okay. Who is right-handed? Hand up if you're right-handed. Okay. If you're right-handed, you're called an orthodox boxer. If you're left-handed, you call the southpaw, okay? So since everyone's right-handed, stand with your feet shoulder width apart, and then take your right foot back just a little bit, all right? And then turn your body side on. That's it, that's it. So you need to be the other way of me. That's it, that's it, that shoulder towards me. Good, okay. Then just relax your arms a little bit. All right, and then you guard both your hands here, your fists cover each side of your chin, that's it. And then your elbows cover your body. So you should be in this position like this. That's it, that's really good. Now, the power in a punch comes from your legs, okay? So you want to twist that front knee, which will be your left knee. Twist that front knee, and then start using your hip as well, and your shoulder. And then we'll just throw one punch so that you know how to do it. When you throw a punch, you must make sure that your palm faces down, because it's an illegal punch if it's that way, and your hand starts that way. So you have to turn your hand so that your palm's facing down. Second thing, you must lock your elbow out. It can't be like a little bit bent. It needs to be locked out. Third thing, it must come back to your defensive position. So I want you to have a go at punching right towards my head. Go on. Oh, I felt that one. Emily, that was a big punch. Okay, so hands up. This is your guard, and stay in this stance. You should have your left foot forward, your right foot behind it. Make sure your legs aren't completely in line. You want a bit of a triangle at the bottom, and then you twist your knee, your hip, and your shoulder, and throw that punch. You ready? So when I say go, you're going to throw that left hand punch in a straight line towards my nose. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Oh. Right, one more. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh. I'll tell you what, you're strong, you lot. That's it. So those are the basics to throw in what we call a jab. So your front punch. Well done. Very good, that, everyone. Very good.
That was awesome. I have to confess, the only reason I didn't stand up as well is that I have just pulled a ligament in my back, so I was just doing it from the chair. So, but you lot are looking awesome. That was really good. And hopefully everyone is joining in at home watching this. Brilliant. Well, we've got time for a few more questions, I think. So I'm going to go back to Isla for the next question.
If I want to learn boxing, what should I do?
Find a local gym where you feel comfortable and you like the coaches and you like the atmosphere, and go along. If you weren't ready quite yet to go to a gym, or they're not open because of obviously the COVID situation, then there are lots and lots of videos on YouTube, lots of female boxers who've posted them on Instagram as well, where you can go and find out about the basics and learn them, as a lot of young people do now, learn all sorts of skills through the internet. Boxing's no different. There are lots of ways to learn the basics of boxing through the computer, but if you do find that you have a love for it and you enjoy it, then I'd recommend to try and go to a gym where you feel comfortable, and then you can start doing the training. And you could do the training for years and never have to compete if you don't want to do the actual fighting bit. You could just do boxing. And the good thing about it is that you can learn something new all the time, because there's so many skills involved with boxing that even if you just do it for fitness, every week you might learn a new combination or new bit of footwork or something like that, or a new type of punch, because there's loads of different types. So I think it's really good for your mind and your body. Plus, there's something really good about it. If you've had a rubbish day at work or school, getting on a punch bag and just releasing it all and getting it out, I think it's quite good for you. So I'd recommend it if you get a chance to do it. Yes, Amy, that's it, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, you hinted at this, but this is Eva's question next.
Go for it. Are there any other female boxers, and if so, who's your favourite?
There are lots of female boxers. When I started, there weren't any. And like I say, it was illegal for girls and women to box when I was a little girl, and I started, and I couldn't believe it. I was so upset that I wouldn't get to do the sport that I loved. Now there are thousands of women boxing, both competitively or just for enjoyment and fitness. When I turned professional in 2017, there were 6 professional female boxers in the UK. There's now about there's close to 40 now. So in that's quite a short time for that to have increased. And in amateur boxing, so that's a little bit different. That's where you box for your country and your club. There are thousands of registered women boxers. So there's many, many more now. And women are very, very good at boxing because it involves loads of thinking, which many women are good at, of course, as men are too. So we're quite technical. Women are quite technical. We like to really learn the technical parts of boxing, as we do with a lot of things. In terms of favourite boxers, I'm a big fan of Katie Taylor, who's from Ireland. She's a very popular boxer, and Natasha Jonas, who's a very good friend of mine. Sherelle Brown, who's a boxer in London. So there's loads and loads of female boxers who I admire.
Brilliant, brilliant. And those stats are pretty amazing, aren't they, in terms of the change in just a few years? And long may that continue. Belle, you're next.
How do you protect yourself from a punch, and can you show us?
To protect yourself, you have some protective equipment. So you have a head guard. You don't wear those in professional. Have I got one here? I haven't. You have one when you box as an amateur, or when you're sparring, which is practice fighting, you have a head guard. In professional boxing, you don't wear that when you fight, but you do have a gum shield, which protects your teeth and your mouth. In terms of what you do, there's different types of defense. You might use your hands to block punches. You might slip them, or you might step out of the way. And they take quite a long time to learn, but you get better at it with practice, like with most things.
Brilliant. Amelie, next question.
What do you love most about boxing?
I love the challenge of boxing. So I loved that there's two things that I love about football and boxing, because in football, what I loved was that when you went out onto the pitch as a team, so that was when I played for England, I played in America, Brazil, I played in Sweden. So sometimes I was on the pitch with people who spoke different languages, different to mine, who in some cases, when I went to Sweden, I was only there 2 weeks before the season started, so I didn't even know everybody that well. And even though there were all those different languages and people from different backgrounds, I loved it that once the whistle went and you've got that same shirt on, you all work together as a team and you all play as a team. That's what I loved about football. Now, boxing's a bit different, and people say it's an individual sport. It is, but it's still, you're still part of a massive team. So your coach, your teammates, the people around you, you couldn't box without them. So it's still very much being part of a team. The main difference is that when the whistle blows, or the bell as we have in boxing, you compete one-to-one instead of team versus team. But you're still very much part of a team, and I really love being part of teams. So being part of something alongside others and going for that common goal and the challenge of it are the things that I love on a personal level. But the main thing that I love about sport in general is the incredible positive difference it can make in people's lives, like it has done for me. And that's why I'm committed to hopefully inspiring other people and trying to make sure they have the opportunities or better opportunities than I had, because I know sport makes a massive difference in people's lives. So that's the best thing about any sport that I believe in.
Well, that brilliantly links us to our final question today, which is from Imi. Over to you, Imi.
Can we get more girls to become boxers or other professional sports?
I think it's really important. So there's two complicated words I'm going to use here. One is equality. Have you heard of equality? Sort of. Equality is about things being the same for people. So people having the same opportunities. So in this case, girls having the same opportunities as boys. That's what equality means. So that's important. But when it comes to women's sport, there's another word, and that's equity. And that's something different. And what that means is where people need extra help to be able to access those fair opportunities, we give them extra help. And that might sound unfair, because you're thinking, well, why are we giving some people extra help? But if you think that for many, many years, women were banned from lots of sports. So you might not know, but at one time women were not allowed to run more than 200 meters. So that's a really short school track. They didn't think we were capable of running further than that. And we were banned from marathons because they thought really bad things would happen to us if we ran that distance. Actually, now we've proved that women are incredible at running very, very long distances. So we've proved that wrong. But because of these things, because of the ideas that women weren't capable, we weren't strong, we weren't clever enough, we weren't good enough, all of these ideas and being banned from different sports, women have never had the same opportunities as men. So now we're at the point that in order for us to have equal opportunities, so that equality bit, sometimes we need equity, which means doing something extra to let girls get those opportunities. So we need to all be thinking, and that's where we need your help. What do we need to do to make it possible for girls to go to football teams, to boxing gyms, to do downhill skiing, whatever it is they want to do? And that goes for careers as well. You know, we don't have as many women in engineering, in construction, but we don't have as many men in social care and primary school teaching. So we need to look at both and do something extra to give those groups the same opportunities. And I know that's a complicated answer, but sometimes we need to do extra to make it fair for everybody. And in terms of gender, that's what we need to sometimes look at. So there isn't, in answer to your question, Imi, there isn't one thing that we can do. It needs lots and lots of things every day. So just like you getting ready for your SATs or your tests or anything like that, there's never one thing, is there, that you have to do, like learn one bit or revise one bit. You have to do things at school every single day, all the time, that prepare you to do your best in that exam. And it's exactly the same with creating opportunities for women. We have to work at it together every single day, and the equal opportunities will eventually get better.
Brilliant. And that is exactly why we're doing the Festival of the Girl, for exactly that reason. And what a nice way you put it there, Stacey. Thank you. We are going to have to finish up, but I wondered if you've got something you could show us there.
Yes.
So I know you've got your belt.
So there's a little story to these. So this first one is the belt that you get when you win the national title. And this belt meant that me and my dad were the first father and daughter to both win senior boxing titles, and he was my coach as an amateur. Now, women didn't used to get the same trophy as men. We used to get this really tiny little thing like you get in a party bag, and the men used to get a big trophy. Now we get the same because we sort of fought for it. So this is what you get when you win the national title. This is a really heavy one. It's super heavy, but that's what you win when you win the national title.
Very cool.
Really heavy, that one. The second belt I'm going to show you is what I won when I won the Commonwealth title. I went to the continent of Africa, to a place called Zimbabwe, to fight for the title, and it was an incredible experience. It was fortunate, the timing, because it meant I was the first British woman to win the Commonwealth title, and it was an incredible, just amazing experience going to Zimbabwe. When I won the title, I didn't have a belt for girls. They had pretend belts for women and real ones for men. So they called them a replica, but it means a pretend belt. And they didn't have one available. So I didn't get a belt after the fight, which is terrible, isn't it? Because when you compete and you win a medal, you should have that medal. And that's not right. So I spoke up about that and challenged it and said, this isn't right. We should have a belt. So they created a women's Commonwealth title belt. So this is the first ever one. It has all these colours in it because it's all the different colours of the country's flags that are in the Commonwealth. Now, and just to finish, I'm absolutely no different to any of you. I was just a little girl who went to an ordinary school, had an ordinary family, a few weirdos, but an ordinary family. And I've been able to achieve my dreams, most of my dreams. Being a girl has been a big barrier, and it's made things much more difficult than they should have been, but I've still been able to achieve a lot. And one of them is changing my sport for the next generation, which is what I like to call paving the way. And this is an example. All of you are more than capable of changing things. So if you see something that isn't fair, like that word equality I was talking about before, then speak up. If you feel comfortable, speak up. If you don't, ask somebody else who can speak up on your behalf. But don't feel you have to settle for being made to feel not as good as, especially not just because you're a girl. Because it is a massive, massive lie that I believed for years, that women weren't as good, women's sport wasn't as good, we weren't as capable. It's a lie. So we're here to prove that, and you're here to back it up. And so if you see something that you think isn't fair, then feel free to speak up on it. Use your voice. If you don't feel comfortable, get somebody else who's on your team, so to speak, who can speak up for you, but don't settle for unfairness. And I'm really proud of you for stepping up today and asking these questions. You're excellent interviewers. And I wish you all the best with what you're doing. And if any of you got any questions or anything like that, your parents are more than welcome to get in touch, and I'll answer any questions that you've got. But thank you for having me. And like I say, I'm dead proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, being strong. And I hope that you achieve everything that you've got your eyes set on. So thank you very much.
Great message, Stacey. Can we have a round of applause for Stacey, everyone? Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.